Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another Total War Warhammer replay. Today we have got Vampire Coast versus High Elves, one of my favourite matchups in the game. But yeah, as I say, so as for the build, we're not going to camp in a corner like a little kid and go, oh, come to me, I'm going to be a, Vampire Coast, got cannons, going to force you to come to me. Nah. You guys know me, we don't play like that. We take the fight to the fucking enemy. So, as for my build, I've got zombie pirate deckhand mobs in the front line. I've got 5 of them. Backing them up, I've got some sirens. Sirens always very, very nice against high elves. I do like bringing them. They've got armor piercing, and they do have that charmed ability, which is always very nice against, lowering that melee attack. But yeah, they basically, high elves don't have too many magical capabilities, so I like bringing them. But basically, the main sort of build is I've got 2 rotting leviathans. So got one here looking very, very pretty there. Let's get a nice little close up on his lovely crabby face. I do love. This has to be one of my favorite units in the game, just from a model standpoint. Like I think CA did an amazing job with these guys, like how they've got like a lobster and a crab mixed into one. But we've also got Celestia Diaphin here. I really like bringing Celestia Diaphin. I do wish that her little rotten leviathan actually had like a name, actually had like some sort of backstory or lore behind it. I'd love to know this, this particular crab. But anyway, I bring her because I have got a few abilities. So I've got Ghost of the Past, which is not, of course, summoning some damned knights errant, which are always very nice in late game. I've also got the Tide Call, but the main thing I brought is I've got the Vangiest Revenge. Now, for those of you that don't know, the Vangiest Revenge is basically a massive pirate ship that comes up and does a huge amount of damage. So the plan is that I send the both rotting leviathans in, wait for the high elves to sort of crowd around them, and then bring up the Vangiest Revenge to do a shit ton of damage. And lastly, I have some Depth Guard, and also some Scurvy Dogs on either flank, and over here, my final last unit, I do actually have a Mongol Hunter. I do like, we go through the ground there. I do actually like bringing these guys against High Elves, armor piercing, anti-infantry, cause terror. They can get, into the back lines and cause a lot of problems. As for my opponent though, this is a very, very interesting build, and much respect for my opponent for doing this, because usually what you see with High Elves against Vampire Coast is you see Reaper Bolt Throwers, not Reaper, Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers, you see a Lithanar, basically, and they just basically snipe out your artillery. But my opponent, he didn't do any of that shit. He took fucking Spearmen in the front line. He also had Love and Sea Guard, which is very, very interesting. Love and Sea Guard is pretty traditional stuff, actually, I say. They're very good at trading with zombie pirate deckhand mobs and stuff like that, doing damage. He also has the Sisters of Avelorn here. Sisters of Avelorn are very, very good. They have magical attacks, so they are going to be really good at dealing with those sirens. But yeah, they are very, very powerful. Decent armor piercing, missile damage, extreme powerful. And then lastly, he does have some silver helms. He also has the Fireborn on this particular flank here, and a Lariel with, I think, Earthblood and stuff like that. Let's get right into this replay though. So, obviously, as the my Vampire Coast build is, I want to get right into the front line as quick as possible. I don't want this fight to drag out as much. Well, I want this fight to drag out, but obviously I want it to be a big grindy fight. So basically, I'm sending the zombie pirate deckhand mobs, letting them take up all the sort of gunfire from the Love and Sea Guard, the archer fire, and that's exactly what I want. I don't mind him shooting at these guys. That is absolutely fine for me, as long as my more important units aren't being shot. That is absolutely fine. We do have some Depth Guard, of course, coming out now. They were hidden, but now I am bringing them out. But the Sisters of Avelorn do start doing some serious nice damage to my Sirens over here. So, magical attacks versus, these guys that don't have any, armor, they're going to do some serious damage. I was trying to get the Scurvy Dogs in the back line here, but luckily my opponent does react very quickly and get his Silver Helms onto them extremely fast. So, yeah, I have to sort of do quite a bit of micromanaging here, trying to keep my Scurvy Dogs alive. Alariel is coming in as well, and my Mongol Hunter does get spot here, and I was thinking, oh, this is okay, my Mongol Hunter over here, can obviously do a bit of damage to Alariel, and, that's absolutely fine for me. But what I didn't realise is that my opponent had the Fireborn coming out, and I was really worried when I saw the Fireborn coming out, because I just thought that Mongol Hunter is not fast, and he's going to get absolutely fucked. But the frontline engagement has started. These Sirens unfortunately got tattered very, very quickly, which was really unfortunate. This right flank pretty much got completely shut down, but over here, we do have the first Vangiest Revenge, and let me just say, this was fucking beautiful. Just watch this. So, nice line here, the Vangiest Revenge, the awesome pirate ship coming up. Look at the blood. Oh my god! Look at that. The High Elves front line has just been completely annihilated. So I was so happy with that. That puts Celestia Diaphin up to 176 kills already, and for High Elves, that is really good. We do have a Tide Call coming down and a Banishment by Lariel. the Ever Queen, Alarielle the Radiant, I should say. But she, does a little banishment here. I do, of course, try to, avoid that for my Depth Guard. My other Rotting Leviathan is in there, doing some nice damage. Unfortunately, though, this was really bad. My Mongol Hunter, I mean, as good as that... fucking Vangiest Revenge was over there. Not Vangiest. No, Vangiest, yeah. Revenge. Unfortunately, my Mongol Hunter does get caught here by the Fireborn as an even trade and does unfortunately die. There was nothing I could do there about that. Over here, we do have a Star of Avelorn going down. My opponent obviously trying to keep that Lothern Sea Guard alive and his Spearman on this right flank, which is fair enough. And Celestia dive in, of course, realising that I couldn't really do anything about that. I fall her back over here. On this left flank, though, it's going far better for me. The Sirens and the Rotten Leviathan have pushed through. These Zombie Pirate Deckhand Mobs are doing decent damage. The Fireborn, though, have come in with some Silver Helms to help get rid of those Zombie Pirate Deckhand Mobs. But the Fireborn are coming in now. I was a bit worried. See, the thing is, I don't really have any anti-large left on the field here. Pretty much, I didn't even have any anti-large to begin with. So, basically, my only way of dealing with the Fireborn is the Sirens. Because, of course, the Sirens have, ethereal, so they have that physical resistance. So, they were my main way of dealing with the Fireborn. But, my opponent gets a nice rear charge here with the Silver Helms. And things were looking pretty hairy. Things go into my opponent's favour here. So, this battle wasn't going too great for me. Of course, it's very, very risky, not bringing artillery as the Vampire Coast. We do have the second Vangiest Revenge coming down here, but my opponent very smartly reacts very quickly and does move his Silver Helms. Luckily, I do manage to catch a couple of horses over here, so, that was very good. This other Rotting Leviathan, though, does get pinned. Over here, we do summon the damn Knight Errants, though, these ethereal Bretonnian Knights, and we do get a lovely rear charge onto the Fireborn. So this was another way I had of dealing with the Fireborn here, in case, in case Celestia gets a bit tied up here. Send them in, do as much damage as I can to the Fireborn with these guys, and that was going really, really nicely. Sirens, plus the damn Knights of Errants are going to be doing really nice. However, the Sisters of Avelorn are still online all this time, and, magical attacks against both of these units are going to be doing some serious damage. Alarielle, though, has taken some damage, and the bounce power goes back into my favour. But, ladies and gentlemen, it is not over yet. So, basically, the damn Knights of Errants are getting a nice rear charge on the Fireborn. And basically, I'm just resetting here. I'm trying to kill the Fireborn. If I can kill the Fireborn, that will be one of my opponent's main way of dealing with the Rotten Leviathans. Unfortunately, this Rotten Leviathan over here, though, is pretty in a bad situation. I was trying to get it onto the Sisters of Avelorn, but it gets caught up by these Silver Helms and these Spearmen. And, Rotten Leviathans, they need to be sort of like moving around constantly, in my opinion, just sort of like causing havoc wherever I can. So I do try to bring all of my units over to try and help. These Depth Guard coming in, getting a little rear charge on the Silver Helms. Also, the damn Knights of Errants are on the verge of decaying now, which is not very good. So I'm trying to get as much money worth as I can with those guys on the Fireborn. But this was so funny. So, right, guys. So, basically, right here, we've got a really blobby engagement. Alarielle's in there. Both Rotten Leviathans are in. Alarielle took some serious damage here. And the Star of Avelorn goes down. So, what do you do when the Star of Avelorn comes down? Well, you basically summon the Vangiest Revenge. So I was like, okay, mate, if you want to stay in that fucking Star of Avelorn bubble, let's see if you want to fucking deal with this pirate ship. And we do a huge amount of damage to that Spearman and those Silver Helms. So if you guys are ever worried about the Star of Avelorn, just bring the Vangiest Revenge and just fucking make sure they can't stay in that bubble area. So that was a beautiful play. I was so happy with how that came off. Balance of Power goes so heavily into my favour now. So, but yet again, it's not over yet. So this Rotten Leviathan over here, I thought, okay, enough with this Sister of Avelorn bullshit. Let's try and get them dead. But the Fireborn do come in and get a really nice catch on this Rotten Leviathan. We do have another banishment coming down here, but luckily I do see it coming, so I do bring the Sirens and the Depth Guard out. Unfortunately, though, that is my Sirens fully decayed now, so I have no more Sirens on the field. So basically, I'm quite worried now because my Depth Guard, they have weakness to fire. Both my, Rotten Leviathans, of course, are large units, so they can get shut down very, very quickly. I say this Rotten Leviathan up to 82 kills, so that's pretty good. He served his purpose very well, but unfortunately does die here and becomes some fish food for those little horses. And these Depth Guard are, these Deckhand mobs are decaying as well. So basically all I have left is these Depth Guard and Celestia Diaphin. Now Celestia Diaphin, very tanky lord, 150 armor, of course, but with the Sisters of Avelorn shooting in and the Fireborn coming in, I was very, very worried here. I do actually use a song of, I can never say this word, Elevland, I can't say it. Minus 48 speed and minus 26 melee attack though, which is very nice. I do have some Scurvy Dogs coming in as well to get a nice little rear charge on the Fireborn. But as I say, the Sisters of Avelorn are still shooting in. Alarielle is just chilling above, you know, providing what heals she wants to here. We do actually rout off a lot of the Silver Helms and a lot of the Fireborn, and the balance of power is still in my favour here. I do have one final attempt to try and shut down those Sisters of Avelorn, because I realise that they're doing so much damage to Saucer Dive in here that I have to shut them down. So I do send these little scurvy dogs onto them, trying to get as much damage as I can on these guys. But yet again, the Sisters of Avelorn, they're quite a tanky unit, and especially with Lothern Seaguard nearby, that's just not going to be enough. So basically, Saucer Diving on her last crab legs over here, basically trying to kill as many as she can, but unfortunately, Bounce of Power goes back into my opponent's favour. I've still got the Depth Guard here, though. They're doing as, you know, what damage they can do here. But as I say, with that Sisters of Avelorn fire, it's doing so much damage. And Saucer Diving here is on the verge of decaying. You know, minus 40 leadership is never good for an undead unit. I mean, look at that damage the Sisters of Avelorn are doing. And basically here, it's my last attempt to try and get Saucer Diving into a good position. She's up to a 274 kills here, which is incredible. But unfortunately, she does die, and her crab falters. And unfortunately, when an undead army's lord falls, usually everything else does. And these Depth Guard, they are pretty much not going to be doing too well here. Alarielle does get a sneaky little charge in, and they all die. And yeah, very well played to my opponent. That was an extremely fun game. Probably one of the funnest I've had in a while. That was going back and forth, back and forth. But thank you very much for watching. I do actually like this build, taking the fight to the High Elves instead of playing it far back. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.